Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all my dear students and viewers. Uh, Welcome to my channel. In our today video, we will learn and discuss about DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. So, what is DNA? DNA ribosome site where protein are made. Ribosomes are that type of site where proteins are made. Here you can see animal cell and plant cell and its difference. So what is located in the nucleus and what type of organic compound is DNA? What is the monomer of DNA? What does the DNA of all these organisms have in common? They all share a universal genetic code. The history of heredity. Why I am so gorgeous. Gregor Mendel determined that traits were passed from generation to generation, but Gregor have not figured out how this happened. What was this substance called? This substance called DNA. Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkin. Franklin and Wilkin used X-ray to discover that DNA was a double helix. And Watson and Crick won a Nobel Prize for discovering the structural model of DNA. Watson and Crick determined and discovered the structure of DNA. They credited Wilkin and Franklin. Wilkin also got a Nobel Prize, but Franklin did not. Rosalind had passed away, and the Nobels are not awarded posthumously. The next scientist is Erwin Chargaff. Chargaff discovered that DNA contained the same amount of adenosine as thymine and the same amount of cytosine as guanine. DNA is a nucleic acid. What is a nucleic acid? Nucleic acid are one of the major organic compounds. Nucleic acid contain carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus, and they are made up of nucleotide monomers. Double helix shape store genetic information and help make protein. Examples include DNA and RNA. A nucleotide contain phosphate group, deoxyribose or ribose, phosphate group and 5 carbon sugar, nitrogen base. Nucleotide. There are 4 nitrogen bases making up 4 different nucleotides: purine and pyrimidine. Purine contains adenine and guanine, while pyrimidine contains thymine and cytosine. Chargaff base pair rules include adenine always bond with thymine and double hydrogen bond, and the line between the bases represents double hydrogen bond, while guanine always bond with cytosine. Pairing DNA nucleotides. What would be the complementary nucleotide pairing? Rule include adenine always pair with thymine and cytosine always pair with guanine. DNA is a double helix and ladder shaped molecule. Purpose of DNA. Why do we have DNA? For what does it code? What actually makes you look the way you do? Remember that the monomer for protein is amino acid. DNA codes for amino acid. The nitrogen bases in the DNA code for amino acid. A triplet of nitrogen bases codes for one amino acid. The triplet is called a codon. What is RNA? DNA must have a helper molecule. RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. RNA is a single-stranded nucleic acid made up of monomer called nucleotides. RNA nucleotides include RNA nucleotide, a sugar ribose, second phosphate, and third nitrogen base. Rules for base pairing: cytosine pair with guanine and adenine pair with uracil. Notice that RNA has uracil, not thymine. Rules for base pairing: cytosine always pair with guanine and adenine always pair with uracil. What is the function of RNA? Carries DNA message code, helps to make protein, and there are three types of RNA. One is messenger RNA, second is transfer RNA, and third is ribosomal RNA. RNA identify the parts of the RNA strand: nitrogen base, sugar, and phosphate group. Here you can see in the diagram comparing DNA and RNA. What is the difference between RNA and DNA? Sugar is deoxyribose in DNA, not RNA. Sugar is ribose in RNA, not DNA. Adenine base is present in both DNA and RNA. Cytosine base is present in both DNA and RNA. Guanine base is present in DNA and RNA also. Thymine base is present in DNA, not in RNA. Uracil base is present in RNA, not in DNA. Shape is double helix in DNA, not in RNA. Shape is single-stranded in RNA. Located in nucleus, both DNA and RNA. Located in cytoplasm, RNA, not DNA. Stores genetic information, include in DNA, not RNA. Function in protein synthesis: DNA and RNA both have protein synthesis function. Composed of nucleotide, both DNA and RNA. Template for synthesis of protein in DNA, not RNA. Transcribe the template RNA, not DNA. More than one type RNA, not DNA. Thank you so much.